G'day everyone, welcome again to the chat. This is the second interview for 2022 after a big 2 weeks up in Queensland for the Magic Millions. I had a good chat with someone who's a passionate owner and breeder. His name is Peter Raff, and he put me on to my next guest. And joining me today from Gift Horse and Colourful Racing Identities is Eric Pipersberg. G'day Eric, how are you, mate?
Hi Ben, how you going?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Raf told me all about Gift Horse, which is racehorse themed gift boxes. Can you tell me a bit more about that business that you've got?
Well, as you know, I've got a background in racing for the last 12 years or so. I've been a racing manager at a Melbourne stable and decided that I had to do something a little bit more for myself and sort of created a business that I thought could incorporate my love of racing, but also something with my partner, Emma, who is a food stylist, chef, event manager, and just a very stylish person. And we sort of came up with this idea, especially in the heart of COVID when everything was getting delivered, that there's a market for a cool and premium horse company. And that's what we created. And I thought Gift Horse was a perfect name for it.
And it's not just like racing themed merchandise in those gift boxes. I've had a look on your website and some of your packages. So it's things like champagne and like premiums, kind of small goods and stuff like that, isn't it?
Well, it's actually, to be honest, there's no racing theme merchandise in it. It is, whether it's caviar, champagne, pale ale beers, or confectionery, or just a whole lot of different cheeses. That's one of the things that sets us apart from other or hamper companies. I don't like to use that word hamper companies, but because I prefer to call us a holistic sort of gift solutions company. When I think of hampers, I think of those crated boxes with straw in them, and your shortbread biscuits and nuts and glazed fruit. But we go a step further, where Emma actually curates these boxes, and she puts a lot of consideration into what the contents are as far as being able to pair. So she'll put a pate in there, and she'll make sure there's crackers and like yummy chips you can eat with the pate, or salmon terrine, or if we put caviar in there, there's a beautiful blintz mix that that you can make up in a beautiful creme fraiche from sourced from Sutton Grange. So that's another of our things that we really put a lot of effort into, sourcing products that are locally created, mainly in Victoria. Obviously, champagne is something that doesn't grow here, but we deal with Victorian-based companies who distribute it. But most of our products are from businesses in Victoria.
I believe you've had quite a high-profile client. Chris Waller Racing ordered about 20 of your boxes recently. Is that correct?
Well, it was initially 20, I think, and then they ordered more. They ordered for some of their clients as a festive season gifting project. But then I think they've got a horse called Miss Pomery, and through COVID, they weren't able to get together as socially as probably promised in the initial buy-in or whatever. But so they sent them all a bottle of Pomery and a beautifully curated gift box from us as well. So they all love that. I think Miss Pomery's had her first run. I'm not sure how she went though. I think she's probably got a bit of improvement to come.
And you've also got another business called Colourful Racing Identities. You've got a background or a qualification as a graphic designer.
Yes. Look, I have been a graphic designer for a long time. And sort of rather than go into my early, sort of part of my working life where I was involved in nightclubs and music, and we started a radio station, we started a fashion magazine, and together with Raf, we promoted probably the best clubs you would have ever heard of. Probably a bit before your time, Ben, but we're talking about Chasers and Chevron and Redhead and all those ones. But then I got into horse racing, and I sort of found that passion again for graphic design, and was able to utilize it in my role as racing manager when it was really important to be able to communicate with clients and stand out above the rest when you're actually telling your story. So that incorporated video production, photography, building the brand, and making sure that every bit of collateral that was sent out from the stable was up to scratch and did sort of identify itself. A lot of the stables have caught up now, but it was always important. So from that, I started Colourful Racing Identities, and that's just a holistic service for anyone involved in racing who wishes to either create social media ads to sell yearlings they might have bought. We're in the middle of sales season now, or they might want to just rebrand themselves, create a new logo. I've done a lot of. Peter Snowden came to me and Paul Snowden. We did Snowden Racing. We did George Moore or Moore Racing when they re-established themselves here. What else? There's Hayes David Hayes in Hong Kong. Brad Spicer Thoroughbreds designed the Prism logo for the platform, which is used now by many stables, and many more, as they say. So that also includes I'm available for stable updates, or I employ the people to do it to liaise with clients, because owners are so savvy when it comes to info now. They need to know what their horse is doing every minute of the day, and we provide that service as well for stables. It's also a good solution for stables who don't want to employ a racing manager but just want to stay in the game when it comes to being able to compete with the bigger stables and sort of create that illusion that they've got the all those bells and whistles that they might want to charge clients for. We can provide them at a pretty decent cost.
And you mentioned ownership, Eric. Have you had a fair few shares yourself in horses, and have you got any at the moment?
Benny, I started a syndication company called Next Level Bloodstock, and it was actually terrific. I mean, we bought yearlings, we bought tried horses, and I reckon all the horses we bought, maybe apart from one or two, actually tasted victory. So that was fantastic. I kept a share in all of them, so that was exciting. But then you get stuck with Aurora, and someone pulls out buying it, and you're left holding the baby. You don't get left with a nice taste in your mouth. So that was a bit too volatile for me, and I just sort of managed to get out of that without pretty much unscathed. Sorry, go on.
And I'm just saying, I'm just going to say too, from a graphic design and marketing perspective, do you feel the racing industry is doing a good job at the moment? Look at social media now. Like, social media plays such a big role now. Like, even at the sales now, as soon as one goes through the ring and it's bought, there's a tweet out saying, contact us if you want to share. You don't have to ring anyone anymore. You just see it and you get in touch that way.
Yeah, it's incredible. That's brings me back to the need for a company or a business like Colourful Racing Identities. Someone will get a horse, they've just knocked it down, and they've only realised they've got 50% done in it. To spend $120 or $160 to try and drum up a bit more business, they'll just get on the blower to me or send me an email saying, we need this done. We'll turn it around within 8 hours, maximum 24 hours to get it up on all the socials, and that's when the selling starts. So I use all my experience with, selecting bloodstock and, I'm not going to say extravagant knowledge of horses, but, my good knowledge of horses to write the copy, make it sound as exciting as possible, and present a visually good finished product. But I'd also like to concentrate on studs, because I think studs have got a big reliance on relationships with their clients. So obviously relationship building is a big part of their business model, and I'll be concentrating on targeting them.
And you've done a bit of international travel over the years. Which international race meetings have you been to?
I've been to Royal Ascot was clearly a standout. Pete had a horse running in it, a horse called Home of the Brave.
That's right.
And that was very, very exciting. He actually came out to Australia. There's a funny story with that horse. He I think it was a Group 3 or dual Group 3 winner, maybe a Group 2 place getter, possibly even a Group 1 place getter. I can't even remember over there. And he was purchased by Godolphin, rather Coolmore. Or was it Godolphin? No, it was Godolphin actually, as a breeding prospect, and then somehow ended up being gelded and back in racing, and came to Australia for a couple of preparations, which was a bit odd. But definitely Royal Ascot was fantastic. I'm just trying to think where else. Hong Kong.
Yep.
New Zealand, obviously, the racing over there is fantastic, considering New Zealand overseas. But that's about the extent of it.
Have you got Dubai on your list? I've got Dubai on my list. I'll tell you what, I'm enjoying the updates on social media from Anthony Pinozzo with He's a Bolter. It got second in the first start, and it was amazing. Second on the world stage for an Aussie horse last Friday night. Amazing.
Yeah, incredible. Always been a bit skeptical about that heat over in Dubai, Benny, but
Yeah.
the heat we've had over here in Melbourne, it hasn't been much different. So perhaps I'll get on the plane and head over there for the next World Cup, or the next big racing event over there.
And do you feel that COVID helped or hindered both your businesses?
It didn't affect colourful racing identities at all, because racing has still gone on through there. Possibly helped it even because they weren't. Yearling parades weren't really allowed to happen, so people had to rely on collateral to get it out to their client base, printed or digital. But as far as gift horse, it actually evolved because of COVID. So I hate to sound selfish, but it was a fantastic thing for us, and it was the reason we started. Yeah.
Tell me about back in the day. You mentioned the stuff you used to do with Raph, called the Gingerbread Men. You were like the first.
Oh, he's told you about that, has he?
Yes, he has, and I've done my own research too. But it was like kind of like a game changer for the industry for nightclubs, wasn't it? It was kind of like a one-stop shop for marketing, graphic design, promotion, for everything, wasn't it?
It was, Benny. We didn't have social media in those days. Our social media was sitting outside a cafe in Chapel Street called La Luciola, and telling all the people that went by who we knew, just come down to this night, come down to that night, and we'd have, I think we had 6 different club nights or 7 different club nights at one stage in a week. There was something every night of the week happening that we presented. We brought out DJs. Raph, I must admit, Raph was so ahead of the game in that field when it came to watching the trends from overseas. He could see that in England, the DJs were becoming the pop stars over there, and the whole house music and the sort of culture was just starting to hit in Australia. And we brought out DJs in the early days, probably a little bit too ahead of our time, but we had a few sis because people didn't even know what these DJs were about or whatever. But Raf's bedroom was on the floor, was piled that high with form guides and that high with copies of DJ magazines. He's always been the man who drove that. We also had a radio station which we started called Kiss FM, and like a community-based station, but it had a fantastic listenership, and we could actually organise nights and tell everyone about them through that. So that was our social media.
It's perfect because there's quite a few of the big studs like Yarrowfields, Coolmores, Rosemonts. They've really got the merchandise thing down pat as well, and I think the merchandise would perfectly complement.
Yes, I mean, look, I'll just show you one. So for instance, like this one here. So what we can do is actually brand it for the client. So if say Newgate Farm wanted to have a box, they would just have their logo on the front of it, and make sure that then they might want to have red and white content. So I don't know, we'd find things in there that would match the brief. It really depends. But yeah, that's the beauty of it. We had Henry Dwyer. He ordered some boxes for his clients, and he included some of his stable merchandise. We don't go and source it, but we can. He had it on hand, and we included it in his box. I think it was some great cufflinks and some stubby holders, and they were very happy with them.
One last one, Eric. You did mention that you were doing syndicating for a while. Would you dip your toe back into ownership at all? Raph always tells me about Love Sensation and the disco ball on the front of the silks. It's pretty well known. If anyone sees it, they're like, "That's Raffy's horse." Will it be one day that's Raph and Pipersberg horses?
We've had a couple together. One of our best successes was a horse that won at I think it was Healesville or Hanging Rock or one of those picnic meetings. It was called Trending Hard. I'm just trying to think if we've actually had any other horses together. Probably not, but Raph just loves that horse, Love Sensation. I reckon he sleeps in its box when he's in Melbourne. And those disco ball silks, I actually designed them. And I think he's got a horse coming, he's in partnership with Rosemont. So check out those custom silks that I've designed there. We've got a bit of Rosemont, and they've got a bit of his disco ball vibe, so they're going to be pretty impressive.
Eric Pipersberg, thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much, Ben. I love what you're doing.